Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the Sajdah channel. You're tuned into the Sajdah Morning Coffee Talks, and I'm your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. Welcome. We're just going to chat today. A little motivation, a little uplifting vibration. So be a friend, tell them to come on over, and we're just going to chat. See you in a few.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible...
Assalamu alaikum, family. Peace be unto you. Welcome to the Sajdah channel. I pray you all are doing well today. We've had a crazy week in pop culture, in the social media world. A lot of distractions. We've been covering the last few weeks the economy and the importance of us as a people understanding economics. Yesterday, we talked about reparations and some understanding of reparations from an economic standpoint, just so that we don't get distracted from, all of that kind of stuff. Because I was also looking at an old interview that Dr. Claude Anderson did on the Breakfast Club, and he was talking about how prior to the civil rights movement, Black people were more focused on self-improvement, right? The civil rights movement, while there were some amazing things that came out of it, there was also a lot that was destroyed in our community because we were focused on doing for self-improvement. And I don't know that a lot of the organizations had that chess move in mind of what they would do and how they would respond once we were allowed to integrate. Because once the integration came and certain rights came, then the movement towards economic upliftment in our community and generational wealth began to transform. And it fell victim to a propaganda that took the focus off of us as community leaders, as stakeholders, and in stakeholder capitalism or conscious capitalism, where we were introducing much needed goods and services into our community, focusing on the needs of the people, to saying, now it's all about me and what I can get. So instead of it being about the community, now it's about, I can go downtown and get this job. And I can now afford a Cadillac or a Mercedes. Nothing wrong with those things. I'm a person, I love nice stuff. But the focus in general as a community changed. And then while we were focused on this rugged individualism, this lack of, what do I want to call it? Lack of community focus, actually. While we were focused on that, then here came the influx of crack cocaine and the crime bill. And so we just started reeling and responding, and that community thing had gone out the window. It was about, look, I don't care what I got to do. If I got to get out here, sell some drugs, do something that's going to kill my people, that's what people were doing instead of that focus on community. And so, in a sense, it became a distraction. And I'm looking at like the whole DEI thing, and I know a lot of people weren't following it, but the communication that's gone out here in the public is that, they're about to cut y'all out of jobs. And then, but more of the DEI, I don't know if you all remember this, when I think this really happened under Obama's administration, where diversity, equity, inclusion really gobbled up the LGBTQ plus community, became more about non-white male stuff than minorities, or first it was about Black people, then it was minorities, but it morphed into something else. And we were the least or the smallest beneficiaries of what it morphed into. And so I think that now that there's more of a push for us to bring back, for example, the corridors in our area where we got community stores. And I think it's time to be strategic towards that. And we have to make sure we don't get distracted. Okay. And we need to elevate our business strategy. So, for example, if you are a political organization or a neighborhood organization and you have a particular corridor in your area, it's either important that we go and buy the property because some of it is abandoned, some of it may have liquor stores or things that are harmful to our community. Go and buy it and then go and target certain Black entrepreneurs and businesses that can go into those spaces and give them an incentive. See, vending is not necessarily business, y'all. It's good because everybody need a break. Everybody could use an infusion of cash. That's good. But it's also important that we support the local area business owners in a strategic type of way. Listen, I know you run a dry cleaners business. Would you consider opening a brick and mortar in this space right here? Look, here's a part of the community that needs a grocery store. Would 6 or 8 of you mind getting together with the support of the local government, local aldermen, the state government, with maybe some funding, maybe some incentives, maybe some break on the rent, something like that, and open a grocery store? Maybe it starts out as a produce market because we got a lot of people, growing produce, or maybe we can get and source from local farmers, and then make that grocery store a pivotal or a central point in the economic development and the return of those corridors. So you may have a coffee shop in it or nearby, a place where people can meet, a place where people can gather, I'll say it that way, to organize. Maybe there's a nice garden, outdoor garden next door where people can just come and network and hang out. But we just got to start being more strategic about this kind of thing, because what's starting to happen, and I said this, I think I wrote a paper on this somewhere around 2005, that the economy globally was going to flatten out. It didn't take rocket scientists to predict it, but I predicted this way back in 2005, not only because I'm following closely the fall of America as introduced to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, so not like a complete prediction, but I started seeing what was going to happen. I started seeing the economy flatten, and Black professionals being navigated. But what I don't like to see is how, as Black professionals, when we've been put out of places or kicked out of places for not going along to get along, or some of us they were like, look, you gotta go, no more DEI, and they blame DEI on the reason to let you go. Or, maybe you care too much, maybe you do too much. A lot of these places, they say they care, but they really don't. Maybe you got that problem. My point is this: when that happens to us, I think we have to then sit down and say, all right, how can I serve my community? Part of our problem is we also don't think that there's any money in our community. But if you are the number one consuming group of people in the world, that means you got to make it in order to spend it. You got to be getting it in order to spend it. We're not just talking about percentage wise. We're talking about the dollar amount of our spend is impactful. So it had to come in from somewhere. And those of us that run organizations, whether you run a church organization or certain things. Stop being stingy with your corporate professionals. Now, certainly we may not be able to demand. If we was making, let's say you were a school principal and you was making $155,000 at the public school, and now you got a private school that says, we can only give you 120. I understand that that's a big jump down. So what I'm saying to leadership is find a way to help this person to maybe supplement. Maybe they have a book that you all can help them to sell and promote. Maybe there's other things that they can do. Maybe there's a fundraiser that you can do that will raise the additional $30,000 so that now you got the $120,000 allocation. You just raised another 30 or another 50, and you put that together, and now you got a salary to that person so that they don't endure hardship for coming to the private school. But we have to go back to our institutions. And I really, really think that our emphasis really needs to be on education. Education for children, education for adults, because this is where we're really getting messed up. Really getting messed up. And for those of us as entrepreneurs, if we had a pipeline, conscious entrepreneurs, if we had a pipeline where we could say, you know what, I need 10 project managers. And there's a pipeline through a local school system, a private school system, where we know that the children are being educated in a certain way. And there are also civics classes and moral classes and technical classes. And we know these children are running down a certain trajectory educationally, and we could say, I can go and get 5 of those project managers from that school. I can start to bring them in to take classes, whether it's in the evening, whether I become a part of the local school system and go in and teach, whether it's on the weekend. But there's something that as professionals we can do to begin to interact with the students at the local area private school, whether it's Muhammad University or whatever that school is, Wantu Wazuri School, you name it, where we can then start to train these young people. They can begin to interact with us. So when they go to school, when they go to college, they already know, oh, this is where I'm going to work. I've already been doing this. This was a big thing when I graduated from college. I remember I really wanted to go into consulting. At that time, business consulting that came through the public accounting firms was a old boys network. It was part of public accounting, and you just couldn't get in. And that's what I really wanted. But it took time for me to get there professionally. But had I been in a situation where maybe somebody who had a consulting firm had been grooming me through college, through high school, then I would have been just like the white guys I graduated with and said, hey, yeah, I'm going to work over there. So my point being is, let's be a little bit more creative and pool our resources so that we can attract some of these good teachers. A lot of times, God lets them let you go for a reason. You out here for a reason. See, if this is the way I look at it. If Allah intervened in my affair, I'll use myself for an example. After college, Allah intervened in my affairs. I joined the Nation of Islam. I shifted from that rugged individualism focus to a more community focused person. Literally almost happened overnight because I really had no education on how important community development was. I really had no education on how important self-improvement was. And I can see how if Allah had not intervened, that I wouldn't have had boundaries. I wouldn't have had a moral compass. I wouldn't have had certain things because I was being groomed to think that corporate thing, checking the box, is king. And I realized, even once I worked at the National Center, worked in a certain capacity, and then went back out into the corporate world, I recognized that that ain't it. I said, I'm here to learn. Let me try to learn as much as I can. Let me try to get as much out of this as possible. And then let me start praying to Allah to find a way to bring me back to my community so that I can move and interact, move and shake and interact. Because you can't expect Allah to intervene in your affair, pull you away, whether you got fired, whether you quit, whatever it was, pull you away, and then have you not utilize those skills for your community. So I'm saying this to all of my corporate professionals out there because I'm getting so many calls from people who are saying, hey, they just let me go. I was a principal at this school in Philadelphia and they just let me go. I was a senior accountant at this organization and they let me go. I was a buyer for such and such store in such and such city and they let me go. And so you have all these corporate Black professionals who are now floating around out here. And what I'm saying is, find a way to be creative and create a job for yourself so that you can serve your community. Break down this mindset that you're better than the next person because you do this or that. Stop being so critical and hard on the leadership in your community, because at the end of the day, you ain't there. You ain't doing it. See, one thing about me, I'm very careful, even about my thoughts, even within our nation, about how I see our people who are building and developing within our nation or within a church or community that I'm around. Because as corporate professionals, we ain't over there. You can't get mad at them for how they run an organization when you the organizational expert, quote unquote. You got a doctorate in organizational studies, but you ain't there. So until you go and lend your services and until you are able to rotate in a circle where you can be an example, to me, you shouldn't be saying nothing. You should just be supporting that organization and that institution. Don't say nothing to the little school that's in the back of the church that Pastor so-and-so is putting together. Don't say nothing about the weekend school that your church is putting together or your masjid is putting together if it ain't perfect, if you with all your professional quote unquote background ain't over there. See, part of our problem is we can't help because we think we're better than the next person. Do you know how many corporate professionals, people that I know, who have reached out to me and said, why would you be trying to build a museum? Why would you be trying to provide these services for your community? Why would you even be a part of the Nation of Islam? Why would you join the Nation? Those are questions that you're going to get. Why are you doing this at your church? I've been so impressed as we've been working to develop the Taste of Black Chicago and going to some of the Black churches and seeing the professional people that are there. People who you can tell have come out of the quote unquote corporate world, went and got their training, and now they're back in the church organizing as program directors and things like that. And I admire the way they're doing it and what they're doing, because that's what we need. That's what we need. We need to be able to go back and give to our community. I know for myself personally, I got enough knowledge up in me to build a nation. And I don't believe that Allah did that for no reason. And I'm not bragging about it, because with that knowledge, with that sojourn came pain and a lot of sacrifice. Things that I thought I would have done in my life that I didn't get a chance to do or haven't had a chance to do yet. But in exchange for being moved around to learn and to study. My point is this. Let's not be distracted. Like many of our professionals were distracted during the civil rights movement. We were distracted away from community once we felt like we got what we wanted during the civil rights movement. Prior to that, and while we were struggling, it was all about Black power, brothers and sisters. Let's come together. Let's build each other up. It takes a village. Let's support. I have this corporate knowledge. I'm going to come and I'm going to give back and blah, 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 blah. And a lot of us are still stuck in a time warp because the educational system that we came through, that was developed during the Industrial Revolution. Hear me good. The Industrial Revolution created the current educational system that many of us have navigated through. So if we figured out the formulary, how to check the boxes, get all the good grades, do everything that we're supposed to do, we are an industrial revolutionary educated person. Okay? The Industrial Revolution was designed from an educational standpoint to refocus you from community to the corporate setting. And they created all this psychology around making you and I think that we were better or that we were doing something as a status symbol because we came out of our community or we were not community focused. So for our parents' generations, you know, I know my mom started working at the Urban League. She was very community focused. And then the corporate thing opened up and then that changed, right? She got a corporate job and then that kind of was, the community piece was not there anymore. But for then our generation who were born into this individualism type of thing, into this status quo, into this, I'm not smart, I'm not safe, I'm better than, as long as I'm able to navigate this corporate thing. A lot of us have not been able to let that go. And so when I coach many of you all who have come and navigated through that, you are really struggling because you just can't let it go. You can't even start a business because you can't let that go. You're so busy trying to hang on to a job, an industry, a mindset, an image that don't even really exist anymore. Okay? The Black professional is being radicalized. And I'm saying radicalize and come on over here to the community side. There's money here. I go back to, they say we spend the most money. We spend more money than third world countries, blah, blah, blah. Well, we got to make it in order to spend it. Where'd it come from? It's here. It's around. So let go of that fake persona that you and I were fed in our industrial revolutionized school systems. What was the focus? What was the number one focus when we're going through school? What do you want to be when you grow up? Where are you going to work? And the smiles from the people around you were given to you based on how well you navigated a field that it appeared was going to pay you more than the next person. So if you and I are sitting in a classroom and we're both in the 9th grade, and you ask me, little Wendy, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I say, I want to be a neurosurgeon. I want to be a lawyer. And then everybody just, oh, that's my little lawyer, right? They just smiling and everything. And so you start to react to the world the way the world sees you. Is this person over here going, oh, I want to be a social worker. I want to be a teacher. Are you giving them as many smiles as you are the other person? Probably not. Why? Because we've all been trained to educate our children based on how much money they're going to make for somebody else or for the white man. And I know this is a tough conversation, but that's how we're educated. And then we get out here into the world, you start working, and then those people fire you. Or then maybe you can't compete like you thought. And so it's almost like you're teetering and tottering because you want to be seen in a certain way, but you don't want to serve in a certain way. See, the landscape is changing. And if you can't read the tea leaves, then you're just going to be out here messed up. Because as time evolves, even by the end of this year, there's going to be a lot of professions in the corporate world, if you will, that are going to continue to be even more segregated. Trust me. And so until we start to understand our community, until we let go of that mentality, we're not going to really be able to serve and make the money. All these trillions of dollars that Black folks are spending, you talking about ain't no money? Here's the other side of it. We got to learn how to be okay with spending money with each other. And we got to think in a certain kind of way. Let me give you some examples. Because there's all this stuff happening this week in pop culture, right? We started off the week with Vlad apologizing for lying on Minister Farrakhan. Our brother Willie D stood on business and talked about what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan means to us, how important he is, how many people he continues to clean up. See, we forget about that. When they start lying on him and saying, oh, he said this and he said that, we forget. We sometimes forget because, again, we so worried about what they are saying. How many people has this man resurrected? How many people know that they'd be somewhere a bumbling fool if it wasn't for him? And you all probably don't think that somebody like myself, a quote unquote corporate person or somebody, from a certain background or educated a certain way or with certain experiences could say that. Let me tell you something. I'd probably be one of these, and I'm just going to say it. I'd probably be one of these weird ass Black women on TV, talking smack about Black people, not giving a damn about Black people, in my corporate space, speaking a certain way, trying to act like I'm better, probably would have a husband that don't look like me. Who knows? Who knows? But instead, this man stood up, raised the Nation of Islam back up, repersoned the Honorable Elijah Muhammad because the historical world, the preservation world had unpersoned him. He brought all that back, put teachings out here, sacrificed his family, put teachings out here that have changed the world. His word is so powerful that if you just listen to a short right here on YouTube, it can change your life. A 60-second short. Imagine if you dove into it and studied. Imagine. So and then you're going to go lie on him? We're not having that. You don't get to do that. And we have to be unapologetic about protecting one another. Let's be unapologetic about that. Let's start protecting one another. Because they like to put some of our people out here in front and they suck up all the headlines when they're cutting up and acting a fool. You got Kanye West out here crying out for help, talking about stuff he was doing as a little boy to his cousin, and everybody's passing that around. Are you serious? Where's the people around him to get this man some help? Maybe his ex-wife was trying to help him. What are you doing, bro? Because there's people out here who look up to you. You're taking up a headline. You're sucking up a headline that needs to be utilized to getting us to unite and pool our resources. This stuff is serious. It's very serious. They're trying to unperson us and erase us as a community. You talking about sanctuary cities? They're like, we don't want no sanctuary cities no more. I think the Supreme Court just the other day voted that federal funding cannot be withheld from sanctuary cities. But if a person says to you, if they say to you, hey, I don't want to give you any money. I don't want to fund your history. I don't want to fund your sanctuary cities. What are they saying? They don't care whether you thrive, survive, or exist. But see, at the end of the day, it's all God's work. Because Allah knows what he's doing. He wants us to be free. So that's why I'm referencing that time before and even a little bit during civil rights where we were all focused on community development and self-improvement until we can get them jobs downtown. We like, I don't care nothing about that. That's what I'm about to go do. So it's a distraction. You take somebody who's become, and if you pay attention to what's happening, you take somebody who's become a billionaire in our community. You show their mental decline right in front of us. What is that doing to our young boys and girls? What is that doing to us as adults? You got our brother Shannon Sharp out here. And that stuff just irritates me because my thing is this. Look, before you go give somebody who don't look like you, this show you that we're not nation building and we're not community focused. Again, it's this rugged ass individualism. It's about me, my money. Before you go give somebody from another community and offer them $10 million, let me tell you something. It's some black single mothers out here who fine, who look good. Get them some money. You know how many, you athletes, you probably done messed around with enough sisters. There's a couple of them you could have threw a couple million their way. Since you're throwing away money, let's nation build. Since you're throwing away money and you like S&M, come to the community. There's some sisters in the community that like S&M. I'm not condoning it. It's not something that's exciting to me, but bring the money circulate the daggone money in the community. But you're going to go take all this money. It's bad enough that you've taken yourself out of the community. It's bad enough that there's not a sister out here that is benefiting from all that blackness. See, because there's sisters out here like me who brothers is the only way for me. I'm not opting into the options. I'm not dating no woman. I don't date outside my race. So if Tyrone or Abdul don't get themselves together, I'm messed up. So it's bad enough that a sister don't get to benefit from all that blackness. But then she don't get to benefit from the money either. And you just throwing the money away. It's one thing if you say, oh, I just met somebody that I fell in love with them. They're not from our community. They white. Okay. You fell in love. They say you can't help who you love. Okay. Then find another way to give back to your community and make sure your wife understands. But you out here playing around on some immature, silly stuff because you got a kink. And everybody said, well, you shouldn't be kink shaming. I'm kink shaming. What? Listen, let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all a little secret. See, in the nation, we have the restrictive laws of Islam. And so even if you messed up, you got a moral compass that lets you know, I can't do that. Or I shouldn't have been doing that. Or I messed up, or let me walk this way because this is what I got to do. That's the moral compass that keeps you safe. I know it's the moral compass that has kept me safe as I've navigated around the world. Like, oh, it look good, but let me go this way. Restrictive laws. Matter of fact, let me bring them with me in my bag. So there's a moral compass. Some of us are in the church and the 10 commandments or whatever, but you should have a moral compass. And every time you see somebody, almost, you see these preachers on TV who be casting demons out of people, it comes from some kind of open sexual interaction. When you are having sex with people like that, you are absorbing that person and becoming one with that person in your body. You picking up all they demons and all they stuff, and you taking them everywhere you go, and vice versa. You out here with this kink, you finna get this person, you offer them $10 million. Bro, you know what that would do to the community? What will it do for a single sister out here? Shit, you can spread that out among 100 sisters. Go sleep with 100 sisters. And I know I'm sounding really crass here, but I'm just saying, what are we doing? We're not even thinking. We're not even nation building, even in our kink. Kanye, leave these people alone and come back to the community. If you got money left, bring it to the community. I got a museum right over here that you can donate to. You want to know what you can do with your money? Instead of messing around with somebody and then getting kink shamed and then got to offer them $10 million, bring it over here. We're going to make sure your name exists. We're going to make sure that you are memorialized for your children, your grandchildren. Do that. There's organizations out here that you could give some money to. Give me the money and I'll help some Black people start some businesses, and we'll rebuild these corridors over here in Chicago. I could think of a lot of things you could do with $10 million. Other than paying somebody to avoid them from kink shaming. If that's what you like, you shouldn't be doing it anyway, but go to somebody who's professional and that's what they do. And then give us the $10 million so we can build back these corridors and open up these museums and preserve our history. I'm sorry to go on that rant, but I just think that this is all part of this educational system, this rugged individual, industrial, revolutionized educational system that we all came through. And I'm saying it athletes, same way. Go through school. You don't necessarily got to worry about being a doctor or a lawyer because you're going to the NFL, you're going to the NBA. This is what you're getting ready to do. And then we put all our money behind trying to get our children into that space. And you got a better chance of hitting the lottery than that. And then when they do get there, if they don't have a father like Brother Deion Sanders, who's right there with his children, like, look, I'm intervening in their affairs and I don't care what you do. And not only that, he's intervening and he knows what he's doing and he don't care what you say. Outside of that, we ain't gonna make it. So let's get more community focused where the village can help you. There are people in the community who should be lending their support to others who are going through stuff. Because folks need a break. Folks need help. People want support. People need support. Stop looking at everybody going through what they're going through by themselves and then sitting back going, damn. And kicking them while they down. When the last time you came to somebody's rescue and said, how can I support you? How can I be there for you? When the last time, I do it all the time with my family and friends. What you working on? How can I be of help? What you doing? Because that's what people need. Instead of putting people in a position where they're going through stuff by themselves, come to them and say, hey, how can I help you? You know how many blessings you're going to get from that? Especially if you're sitting up on a surplus of $10 million. My point is this. people, let's go back to self-improvement. Let's go back to community development. Let's consciously work on getting out of this rugged individualism mindset that got us all trapped and on an island somewhere, especially us as Black professionals. We all on an island somewhere by ourselves, trying to do what we do with no help. We live somewhere where don't nobody around us. We don't even know our neighbors. Nobody looks like us. We don't have no friends that we talk to. We can get on the phone and have a conversation with and say, hey, this is what I'm going through. Me personally, I'm not just saying this. I try to be that for my friends. Hey, let's sit down. What you working on? How can I be of service? What can I do? How can I help you? Because that's what we need is community. And the sooner we get back to that, let me tell you the amount of blessings in that. I'm going to say this one last thing. When Dr. Dormo and I started building the clinics and the surgery centers over in the DC area, we started doing free screenings. We were going to senior homes, retirement homes, wellness homes. It makes me emotional just thinking about it. And we see the elderly people there and we say, look, and we see they're suffering from certain ailments. How can we help you? What can we do? Some of them don't live in the best of conditions. And so we started trying to figure out how we could help. And at that time, we were in a space of very humble beginnings. I literally used to carry my office around on a cart. See, when I write my book and I talk to y'all about what it takes and what I've been through to get to a certain space, some of y'all gonna say, no, I ain't trying to go through that. And I'm gonna tell it so maybe you don't have to. But I used to carry around my office on a cart. Let me tell you, I was living here in Chicago. I had a condo. My mother bought me a grocery cart. You know, the grocery carts you put your groceries in so that when you get out of the car and you live in a high-rise building, you could pull the cart up and get on the elevator and take your stuff up. I had that with me in DC. That became my office. I would have the ultrasound machine in there. I would have files. I'd be lugging that around everywhere we went. That thing got so rickety, you could hear me coming. Jicka, 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 jicka. And we go to these nursing homes and we set up, serving the people. My business partner, who's a whole triple fellowship trained, double board certified surgeon, was living in his mother's attic. Because we're trying to save money so we could build something to serve the people. When we got to the point where the office got so big, my office became inside of the office and we had to have space for people to sit. We didn't have enough space. I moved into the closet, into the storage closet. My desk was in the storage closet. And then when he gave up his desk, he was on the other side of the storage closet. I'm talking about sacrifice so that we could give these seniors the help that they needed. Allah blessed us to save over 30,000 lives and limbs through this process and procedure. And I cannot tell you how many Black senior people came up to us and said, we prayed for y'all at church yesterday. We prayed for y'all last night at the senior center. Here goes some money we made at bingo. I can't tell you how many people say, we took your picture and put it up on the altar and prayed. And so when we started having levels of success, we knew, we were very clear where it came from. See, but I had come out of that. I taught MGT and GCC orientation class in Chicago for 8 years. And when I would go out into the community, when I went back into consult, I would meet people all the time. Thank you. You saved my life. Thank you. You was the first person to tell me you love me. Thank you. You was the first person who hugged me. Thank you. You were the first person to help me understand about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. and the prayers that people sent my way. So when I began to elevate, I knew where it came from. So when we went to when I got to DC and we started doing the same thing, I knew where the blessings were coming from. Next thing you know, we done built a hospital, $20 million institution that we had to bootstrap ourselves. See, if I'd been like the white people, then we'd have been to just use somebody else's money. They wouldn't give us no money. We didn't take a salary. We didn't take money out of the business. But I'm talking about being community focused. And that's where I wanted this talk today to re-encourage us to be. Because there's too many corporate professionals, y'all emailing me, talking about, hey, I need a session, but you want an island. You want an island by yourself. You go months. One sister told me, she said, I go months before I even reach out sometimes to my friends. Because I'm in this corporate setting and I'm so busy and I got to bring work home. And now it's so competitive. And now with DEI, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to have my job. Listen, radicalize yourself on over here to the community. If you're out there, Shannon Sharp, and you got a kink, you want to pay people, listen, you got extra money, come to the nation. We got self-improvement study guides. We got things that's going to help you get your mindset together, help you get off of all of that weird, extravagant sexual activity that you done got into just because you're so caught up trying to get a turn on. Come on over here. We're going to restore you back to the God and remind you of the God that you are. It's brothers. I'm sure you could get in touch with our Supreme Captain. He can help you. Get yourself together. Help you get into some study guides. We could put a program together. I'm sure the brothers will be willing to even individualize it. And all this extra $10 million that you're doing, come give it to us. We got Muhammad University of Islam over here that needs it. Listen, don't listen. And if you don't want to do that, then send the money on over here. But stop playing out here, brothers, with all this money before you go buy. And I know because I done did it. Okay. I used to be the purse queen. I got so many $5,000 and $6,000, $7,000, $12,000 purses. I ain't even looked at them. But so before you go get that $250,000 watch, ask yourself, do I need this watch, or can I take this $250,000 and invest in a small Black business, or give it to a Black school, or give it to a sister who's out here on the island trying to do her thing and do some good into the community? Before I go and say, you know what, I like that purse, it's $12,000. Before I go get that, let me see who I can help with this $12,000. Before I go buy this $350,000 car, I already got nice cars. Who can I help with this $350,000? Let's start thinking like that. Instead of, it's a rugged thing, it's my individual, I just got to pay out, I'm going to pay out my money because I'm trying to turn my cell phone and I'm trying to, come on, y'all. We got to do better, people. We got to do better. And I'm saying, let's start with self. Let's start with our individuals. If you know you weird, put some money in the bank by volunteering, by helping, by supporting somebody. Anyway, y'all, this is not what I planned on talking about today, but it is what it is. Anyway, family, do y'all got y'all tickets to the Black Opera? We're doing the Black Opera in white. We're really trying to uplift this. I love the genre. Some of y'all don't know this about me, but I sang in prior to my corporate stuff, and operatic singing was something that I studied, classical singing. And so I just love it as an art form. And when you study the history, anytime you get into history about us, you're going to find some amazing stuff that we've been doing as Black people. I was studying the Negro Opera House in Pittsburgh, which was interesting because my grandfather was from Pittsburgh and his entire family were performers. But all these people in these opera houses have been unpersoned. So we just want to share that art form. I think it's going to be fun. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us about music and color and light as medicine. So come with us. Come on over as we fill the air with medicine. See, a lot of us don't get access to this kind of vibration because you in the house by yourself, you going to work by yourself, you in a rugged individual, you on an island. So I don't care what you do. You're not going to be able to raise your vibration until you get around some people that look like you, that got high vibrations, that's engaging in some high vibrational activity. So don't miss this opportunity. Okay. Go to sajdahhouse.com. And it's a $50 donation to attend. We only got 50 seats. So the seats are limited. So I would say get out there and get your stuff. Very private, very intimate. It's gonna be fun, but it's a little donation to attend. What else I got for y'all? I thought I had made some notes. Oh, just support, period. What y'all doing? Go to you see the Cash App up there, Sajdah Enterprises. Y'all see it? Let's see. I just thought of something. I gotta make a note. Okay. What else? Sponsorships. You can sponsor. You can become a sponsor at the opera. We got several sponsors. We have Martial Arts World, Professor Lemuel Muhammad. We got the financial architect, Sister Alita Muhammad. Sister Alita's in the chat. I think I saw her earlier. We got Sister Attorney Sajdah Evangelista. She's a sponsor. So just come. You could be a sponsor. Sponsorships start at $250,000. Not $250,000, $250. That'd be nice, right? Or you can become a sponsor at the house. You can sponsor the iconic living room. We are working on some things. Or before you go out and buy a purse today for $7,000, here go the Cash App and the Zelles going across the bottom. Memorialize your name. Some of us blow through $20,000 like it's nothing. Here you go, right here. Memorialize your name. We'll put your name in the house. You'll have a beautiful plaque up there. We're getting close. We're going to get to that point. We're also doing, if you need a coaching session, I am rolling out some new money psychology work that I've been doing. There's going to be an assessment coming out soon where you'll be able to take a money psychology assessment, and you'll also be able to book a session with me. I suggest before the summer gets started that you get your couple of sessions in with me. You just got to go to booksajdahwendymuhammad.com to do that as well. It don't hurt to tweak your money psychology. It don't hurt. I'm all about coaching. I've spent probably hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching and training and development and self-improvement, just tweaking my skill sets and who I am, and continuing to educate myself. Okay, family. Listen, I love you all. Remember, it's not personal, it's vibrational. Be a friend, tell them about the podcast, and tell them to support this incredible work that we're doing. We're going to be having some mastermind business sessions this summer coming up as well. So you don't want to miss that. So join the mailing list. It's going to be extremely powerful. All right, family. Love you all. Wishing you all more goodness than you've ever experienced or imagined. And we'll see you all, inshallah. Oh, I'm going to do a Black Opera live. Stay close and I'll let you know. I think we're doing it, possibly at 7:00 p.m. I'll let you know. Okay. But I think you'll like it. And inshallah will be sold out by then. So go get your tickets. Even if you can't attend, $50 is nothing. Give your $50 and we can give your ticket to somebody who really wants to attend, but maybe doesn't have the money, or even a student who's interested in the healing art of music. All right. Love you all. Peace and blessings.